The way the touch frames work from PQ Labs, there are infrared LEDs and infrared sensors that are around all four sides of the frame. The LEDs are illuminating the entire area between the frame, which is why you can't put a sheet of glass or anything over the touch frame. When a user's fingers come down and intersect that IR plane that's going between the touch frame, the sensors within the frame detect where those fingers are, and they actually do it really, really fast and accurately. The touch frames, depending on the size, can support 2, 6, 12, 32, and 50 touch points currently, with the G5S being the fastest, most accurate, and responsive touch frame version available at this time. There are various versions of the touch frames, and of course the older generations will slowly fade away and the new generations will come in and add improved accuracy and response. The current top-of-the-line models are the G5S and the G5 frames. The older generation are the G4S and the G4 frames, and the custom frames all come in standard G4 technology. The G5S, being the best technology available right now from PQ Labs, have all the best features. It has improved accuracy, so objects can be tracked much more accurately across the entire touch surface, and that means that more touch points can be tracked simultaneously, with the G5S supporting up to 50 touch points depending on the model that you're buying. The G4S is going to be the previous generation to the G5S, so slightly less accuracy and response time, and slightly less touch points. The PQ Lab touch frames come in two distinct categories: the overlays, the ones with glass, and the integration kits, the ones without glass. The integration kits are meant for integrators. They're meant for people who are installing these touch frames over a TV or an image plane like a projection screen, or a video wall, or a situation where the sheet of glass is going to be either too difficult to transport to the customer, or it's already going to be incorporated into your display. If you're using a television or monitor, you're definitely going to want to use a sheet of glass, which is what the overlay touch frames were designed for. Now, the overlays and integration kits come in two different types of models. They come in the S line and the non-S line. The G5S and the G4S are the newer, slimmer, faster frames, and the G4 and G5 frames are the slightly thicker and slightly slower versions of the G5S. Basically, the difference between the 5 and the 4, the 5 are newer, the 4 are older, and of course, in a year or so, we might have the 6, we don't know. The 3s are older, and 2s are even older than that. So each generation of PQ Labs products improves the accuracy, improves the response time, the number of simultaneous touch points that are able to be tracked, how fast and how accurate they're tracked, and if you're looking for the best of the best, you can't beat the G5S right now. They are only available in certain sizes because they're standard sizes, and PQ makes those sizes based on the popularity of the models available and how accurate and fast they can make up to a certain size. Well, today we're going to be installing the G5S 55-inch, which is the cream of the crop. It's the best touch frame as the largest size you can get right now. Now, the overlay frames come with a sheet of glass, so where does that glass go? Well, it actually goes underneath the frame itself, so not over it, so that you're blocking the IR sensors and trackers that are in between the frame, but it actually goes underneath the touch frame. So essentially the touch frame sits on top of the sheet of glass, which then sits on top of the television. On the S line, the glass sits slightly smaller than the outer dimension of the touch frame and slightly bigger than the image dimension of the touch frame. So it sits up inside its own little shelf with adhesive, and it gets attached to the touch frame itself. Then the entire unit then gets stuck onto your image plane. The overlay version of the G5 and G4 are going to have the glass layer go all the way end to end of the touch frame. The G5S and G4S glass sits up inside the touch frame, and the G5 and G4 overlay, the glass sits underneath the touch frame and increases the total overall thickness. On the integration kit, there is no glass included. You're meant to integrate that into your system. That's typically meant for things like kiosks, or more popular, the large video walls that we do a lot of, putting 2 to however many TVs together to create one seamless image with one touch frame going around all of the screens. Now, we're going to put one big touch frame over, say, 16 monitors to make this huge touch screen. Well, that sheet of glass is too prohibitive for either ourselves or PQ to ship or produce locally. So it's typically up to the customer to obtain that sheet of glass or scratch-resistant acrylic, depending on the type of environment it's going to be in, locally. We do have customers that don't use a sheet of glass, but in any instance, keep in mind that it's much cheaper to replace the sheet of glass that it comes with the touch frames than it is to replace the TV itself. So we always recommend getting the overlay, and of course getting the faster, thinner versions, the S line, typically the newest ones, the G5S. Now, you do have the option to waterproof the touch frame. They're going to apply a sealant and waterproof the electronics in the touch frame, and they're going to cover water damage in the warranty if you get the waterproofing done. So that's great if you're in a high trafficked area and somebody decides to, oops, spill the drink. Well, this happens, so having it waterproofed is typically recommended if you're going to be around liquids at a bar or a restaurant, even a boardroom where somebody's drinking their morning coffee and it spills on the touch frame. If water damage happens and you don't have the waterproofing done on the touch frame, that's not going to be covered under warranty. If you do extend the warranty to 3 years, that waterproofing that you paid for will also get extended the length of the warranty. So really good to also extend the warranty and get the waterproofing because it does extend. So when you get it waterproofed, the frame and the glass is already going to come assembled, another plus, which means you don't have to assemble the touch frame and you don't have to put the glass on the touch frame. The frame itself comes in 4 pieces when you get the standard sizes. With the larger frames, you'll start getting sections and you'll assemble them in the center and on the edges, and it'll create the entire frame all the way around. On the standard sizes like this 55-inch, the longest pieces come as one single piece. If the frame doesn't come waterproofed, you'll have to assemble each of the individual sides, which is really easy to do because there's numbers that say 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and etc. So very, very easy to assemble, takes you less than 5 minutes. If you don't get it waterproof, it's going to come in a long, slender box. That's the touch frame itself. The glass sheet is going to come in a large, flat box, and if you get it waterproof, it's all going to come in a large, flat box.